Hello everyone, I'm Krooked, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted look at games and give it a 1 through 10 rating. This is Spider-Man and Venom in maximum carnage. This is by far one of my all-time favorite Super Nintendo games. Is it a good game for everyone? That is what I'm going to determine, but for me, this is one of the best. I acknowledge it has flaws, but as a Spider-Man fan in the 90s whose parents wouldn't really buy them comics but bought me this game, it was everything I could have ever wanted as a kid, because Carnage was so awesome in the 90s. And this game, it's cool. It's LJN. I didn't know anything about LJN. There's this whole thing on the internet where people hate LJN, and I get it. I do. This is one of the best games ever that LJN has made. You can hate LJN to your core. You gotta try this game. I'm pretty sure. So as you can see, it's a beat 'em up. We're beating up Steve. We're beating up Alex. I'm Spider-Man. Look at this. This game looks great. Not quite arcade quality, you know. It's kind of muted a little bit from what an arcade game would look like, but oh, look at it. It's so cool. And you can climb on walls. You can web sling. You can form a web shield. If I can remember how to do it. It's been a while since I played. I can't remember how to do it. Oh, yeah, if you hold X and A, you can form a web shield. You can weapon people. Oh, you just hold A. Yeah. You can pick these up. You can throw them. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up in the best of ways. It has comic book noises that pop up. It has a story that happens. Listen to the music. Like, Green Jelly, now known as Green Jello, now known as Green Jelly, they did the soundtrack to this, and oh man, just wow. Just the opening of the game, from the second you turn the console on with the cartridge in, it just kicks off with this badass music soundtrack. And honestly, if anyone even tries to say the music for this game isn't an absolute 10 out of 10, who are you fooling? Like, why do you hate music? Because there's nothing but 10 out of 10 for this game. Beating up the enemies sounds great. The music in the background, it's just constant energy. It's so cool. And this game gets so much better. I don't know if I'll be able to get there in time, because one thing that is known about this game is it's really hard. Like, it is no joke a very difficult game. But I think it's worth it in every way. So, you know, you're Spider-Man going through web slinging, doing what you do, collecting lives, beating up thugs in the streets of New York. They're trying to rob this newspaper stand. Controls, fantastic. Everything is incredibly responsive. Y punches, B jumps, A does web stuff, and X also does web stuff. And you can pick things up. They're little segmented areas. Sometimes you get the selection of where you want to go in a level. This game, it does so much right. You can cheese a lot of the bosses in it too. I don't know all the cheesing methods, but it's awesome. So this game also does what other beat-em-ups do, where enemies that I'm fighting now are going to become standard enemies later in the game. But I think that this does it in a very good way, because they don't stay here with their 2 bars of health and stuff like in Double Dragon. they have lower health bars when you run into them later. So it makes it a lot easier when you run into them later, and they're a lot more like normal enemies. Some of them are kind of mini boss-ish, but still a good time. So I'm going to take Dana and Lizzie out here. And then hopefully we'll get to see some more of the cool stuff in this game. There's just so much. Oh no, am I going to lose a life? Okay. Whew! That was close. Then even between the stages, you know, it tells you your accuracy, which I'm terrible, 58%. Gives you a score so you can play with friends for scores. Climb, let's go. These stages are a little bit different. So if you notice, there's arrows. What those arrows mean is that I have to move in that direction or I'm going to get hit by lightning. I didn't understand that when I first got this game, and it made it really difficult. There's also a lot of power-ups here, if I remember right. It's hard to find them, though, all the time, and when you're trying to dodge Sheik's electric bolts, it's not always easy to find them, but... No, don't fall, Spidey! It really gives you a sense of how to use the web slinging properly. And this was always one of my favorite parts of the game, just because it's so unique. And you don't really see this in Spider-Man games, where it's, well, not the older ones, where you actually have to web sling and you can't just, you know, run side by side on levels because, oh no, it's the doppelganger. So in older Spider-Man games, they were almost all exclusively beat-em-ups. None of them were actually anything like the Spider-Man games that we get today. The Spider-Man games that we get today are, you know, open-world platforming beat-em-up games that have a whole bunch of different levels and thugs and powers that you get and everything. Old Spider-Man games weren't like that. They were all basically beat-em-ups, just like this. And right from the get-go. So we had those 2 easy levels, and then we have a boss! I remember Doppelganger being way harder than this. But I think I just got some easy shots in. So you hit him, she gets really angry because she likes Doppelganger and, you know, blasts you off of the roof, and then Carnage shows up, and the story's awesome. I'm not going to ruin that because the comic book scenes are actually taken from the comic, which makes this even cooler. The presentation of this is just spectacular. So, it doesn't look like I'm going to get far enough, but eventually in this, you get to pick whether you want to play as Spidey or as Venom. And, well, you know what? I'll just cut to Venom just because I have to show you guys. All right, so at this point, you get to select, and this is like on stage 3 and everything. It's mostly story setup here. You get to select which hero you want, so I'm going to select Venom. Where you start off in San Francisco to go with the lethal story protector. And look, every time he jumps, it's just thud. He picks up, like, he jumps against the wall and he looks huge. He's this massive creature. And the game makes it very well known that Venom is a massive creature. His shield works the same way Spidey's does, except it's symbiote. He can still web sling and everything else. He's just way stronger, I think. Like, he takes out enemies that Spidey can take out, but he does so faster. I think he breaks through guards a little bit easier too, but yeah, awesome that you get to play as Venom. A lot of this game is incredibly difficult, although I have to be completely honest, this is probably the best playthrough I've personally ever had of this game. So, with the incredibly, incredibly difficult game, it's hard to give it a perfect score because the game is almost impossible. I've never beaten it. But there's so much here. There's stuff for comic book fans, for non-comic book fans. This game is amazing. This is one of LJN's best games. This is probably one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, in my opinion. Honestly, I have to give Spider-Man and Venom in Maximum Carnage a 9. If it had multiplayer, this would be a perfect game, even with the difficulty. But it doesn't have multiplayer, which is an absolute letdown. But otherwise, it is so hard to find any game that is just this good, this fun. You don't even have to beat the game and be happy about it to enjoy the time that you had with this game. I love this game. I love Spider-Man. This does everything I could ever want it to do for me being a Spider-Man fan and me being a fan of video games. Just a great time overall. Absolute pleasure every time I play it, even if I've played the same 10 levels over and over again and I've only gotten to Carnage in Central Park a couple of times. Still one of the best games ever. Also, since I didn't get to show before, you also build up these power hits if you don't get hit in a while, where you can decimate an enemy, just tear through their defenses. I think I can actually get one on the bosses here. Yeah, these guys. So Spidey has problems knocking him back. Venom is just like, yo, what up? And he treats them like nothing. Which I think the game does a great job of showing you this is how strong Venom is. Absolute pleasure of a game. I love it. And if you like this video or if you like Spider-Man, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on a new episode of Unscripted, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever a new episode comes out. Other than that, if you want to support the channel more, check out the Patreon. Link is in the description down below. And with all of that being said, I do want to thank you for watching Unscripted, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye!